Well, I heard it. I read it that way.
That dog duty, I remember.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to go. Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Paul Wiedefeld. I'm Chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board. Today is Thursday, April 25th, 2024, and I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board to order at 9:01 a.m. This morning, we're having our meeting in person at MDTA headquarters. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being live streamed on the MDTA Board webpage. I would like to say welcome to the members and the staff who are with us today. As a reminder, I ask that anyone who is in the room with us this morning to refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering a question to avoid background noise on the live stream. I would also like to ask the members to speak loudly and clearly so those in the back of the room are able to hear you. Also, please say your name when motioning or seconding to help with the meeting minutes. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. For those who are watching this meeting via the live stream, we have posted materials for today's meeting on the MDTA Board webpage so that you can follow along if you would like. We'll now begin with today's agenda. Agenda item number 1 is the approval of the open session meetings of April 4th, 2024.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Member Cox.
Second, Member Daines.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The second agenda item is the approval of several contract awards. Donna?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Director Donna DeSerbo, Director of Procurement. We have 3 contracts for approval today and 1 update item. The first contract is MT00210861. It's for generator maintenance, testing, and repairs at various MDTA locations, and the work includes inspection, maintenance, testing, and repairs. We received 3 bids from this invitation for bid. We are recommending award to Barco Mac LLC in the amount of $812,790.84. There was no MBE goal identified for this procurement because of the limited scope of work. The advertised date was September 6th. Anticipated NTP is June 1st with a 4-year duration and 1 2-year renewal option, and there were no protests received on this procurement.
Any questions on this particular contract? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Member Rosen, I'll make a motion.
I will second. Member Von Paris.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Done?
Thank you. The second contract is J01B36000015. This is the next generation of Easy Pass transponders. This contract and the next were purchased off an intergovernmental cooperative agreement. North Carolina Turnpike Authority did the procurement, and it's an IAG, interagency group procurement, and we are taking advantage of the bulk savings and pricing availability. We are recommending award to CAPS Trafficom USA of Duluth, Georgia, in the amount of $38,114,196. There was no opportunity for MBE because we are purchasing the electronic toll equipment to include transponders, readers, and antennas, so it's pretty much a commodity contract. We advertised on August 8th of 2024. That's a typo. We're not there yet. We'll fix that. And anticipated NTP is June 5th of 2024. We have received no protests on this contract.
Any
Happy to
questions
answer
on
questions.
this contract? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Member Carroll.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The third contract?
Thank you. This contract is J01B36000016. Again, this is the second contract for Next Generation Easy Pass transponders and related equipment. And we're recommending award to TransCore LP of Nashville, Tennessee, in the same amount, $38,114,196. Again, there was no opportunity based on these are commodity contracts for an MBE goal, and no protest was received. So we're going to have TransCore and CAPS. We will get pricing, and when we need the transponders and related equipment, we'll compete, we'll go with the lowest price. So that gives us the flexibility to go with the lowest price at the time that we need it.
Very good. Any questions?
Any questions?
There's a motion.
Member Ganjemi, I move for approval.
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
The third contract is MA2257. This is CAPS contract modification number 3. This is an update. We are increasing the amount of the contract and moving some money around. You'll see in Exhibit 1 what we're doing. We're removing line items or shifting line items in the amount of $2.2 million, reducing those line items and adding it to the other line items to be added is $16,130,376.68, thereby increasing the total contract amount to $18,334,252.94. There's an MBE goal of 13.20 on this contract, and I'm happy to report that the contractor is achieving 21.64 in their MBE goal. This contract exceeds the board's authority, so it will be going to the Board of Public Works next month.
Any questions in front of that? This, you don't need approval on, right? This is just an
No,
update?
sir, it's an update.
Just an update, okay, thank you. Okay. We'll move to agenda item number 4 then.
I'm sorry?
Anything else that you have?
No,
for us
no,
this
sir,
morning?
that's
All right,
it.
thank
We
you
will
so
take it
much.
to BPW. It does require their approval, so
Gotcha.
we're
Okay.
on schedule for that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 4 then, a major projects update.
Thank you.
Good morning. James Harkness, Chief Engineer for Maryland Transportation Authority. Just presenting our quarterly update on major capital projects, so those projects valued over $40 million. Today I will be reporting on 13 of the projects in the capital program. 10 are under construction, 2 in procurement, 1 in design. We have 3 projects in this report with construction budget changes and 2 projects with schedule changes. MA 2757, replace electronic toll collection 3rd gen, has increased by $11 million due to all electronic conversion projects. Budget for FT 2651R, the rehabilitate the vent fans in the Fort McHenry Tunnel, increased by $3 million due to replacement of deteriorated conduit and wiring, as well as impeller repairs. And the budget for KB 3005, which is the subgrade improvements on 695, that was reduced due to favorable bids. Schedule for KH 3009 I-95 ETL extension from 43 to 152 changed from the anticipated construction completion in summer of 24 to spring of 25, and that was due to foundation redesigns at 2 bridge structures, rock impacts to drainage systems, and then finally KB 3024 I-95 at Belvedere Road interchange has a project change resulting from delays in obtaining stormwater management permits for the advanced rough grading package, and that change has gone from summer 25 to a summer of 26. For our first project, we'll go through MA 2257, the 3rd gen. This project has completed the implementation of the TRI protocol across all the MDTA AET zones and BHT remaining plaza. This work included procurement, deployment, tuning and testing of the equipment for the three different protocols. Additionally, this contract is working on supporting the ETL projects as well as the future BHT AET conversion. Our next project is the nice Middleton Bridge and Campus. So they are working on continuing to demolish the old bridge. And that work is paused because of the key bridge and utilizing that contractor to perform the debris removal. So we had to pause that work, but it is expected that work would resume sometime this summer down at the bridge. And for the campus project, we completed the construction of the new administration and police building. We were able to move staff into that building on February 19th. And then the contractor has begun demolition of the former admin building down there.
Jim, if I may, do we have any sense of any financial implications of that, that temporary delay?
No implication at this time.
Okay.
It looks like we will be working on a stream restriction issue, but other than that, we should be okay. And we should still, we're looking to still complete the project on time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to the next project, FT 2651. That's the ventilation improvements at Fort McHenry Tunnel. For bores 1, 2, and 4, we've constructed the new bulkheads in the supply duct, and we've removed the existing bulkheads. So in bore 3, the remaining one, we are now installing that bulkhead and working on the airflow testing to determine that everything with the new bulkhead is functioning properly. To date, 47 of the 48 fans have been rehabilitated and placed into service, so that leaves just one fan that is locked out for rehabilitation. And unfortunately, due to some of the supply chain issues with some of the electrical gear, we are waiting out probably another 2 months to be able to complete that rehab and place that one back into service. Okay, we'll move now to KH 3009, which is our first of the ETL Express toll lane projects. This project is working on structure 1, which is the bridge over Big Gunpowder. They completed the demolition of the existing deck of the existing bridge. The deck, girders, and both abutments, as well as all 3 piers, are 100% removed. They're completed their supportive excavation, and they're working on new caissons at the new pier and at the abutment. Moving to the other structure, the bridge over the Little Gunpowder, they've completed demo of the first pier, and they've been working on installing their supportive excavation at the abutment, and they will continue to demo at the other pier and start working on caissons at the second abutment as well. They've also been installing overhead sign structure foundations. They've installed the toll gantry and turned that over to our toll vendor, and they've also installed one of the new electronic display signs. They've also installed some of the generators for the generator pads for the tolling location and camera poles, as well as we're increasing the CCTV coverage throughout the project limits. And we also have installed additional automated speed enforcement locations in this work zone. We can move on to KH 3019. That's another project in the ETL. So this is the reconstruction of the Maryland 152 interchange. Working on the structure for the bridge over 95, they completed the substructure for the piers. They were setting the structural steel, and they were installing the stay-in-place deck pans. They've been working on light pole foundations. They did some paving on Maryland 152. They did some sign foundations. They installed new signals, traffic signals along 152, and they will be looking to install the deck in the next few months on that project, and they will also be working on installing the gantry for the tolling equipment between 152 and 24 as well. Next, we have KH 3024, which is I-95 at Belvedere Road interchange. This project received concurrence from York Building Project and Cecil County to implement a single lane closure on Belvedere Road throughout the phases of bridge construction. That allows us to simplify construction and phasing, and therefore also our permitting with MDE. The contractor did some of the stream diversion and advanced tree felling, and that was completed in late February. They've cleared approximately 9 acres and stabilized that ground for phase 1. They're going to continue with the erosion and settlement control and creating several of these temporary sediment basins. They were successful in installing a 48-inch culvert crossing across Belvedere Road, so that required a weekend closure of Belvedere Road back in March. That went well, and that's completed successfully. And they are working on I-95 to set up a work zone on I-95 that will allow for work in commencing with some retaining wall clearing and eventual construction. We are also having automated speed enforcement in this work zone along I-95 as well, so they're preparing for that. We did submit design packages for most of the major pieces of work. Those were received in April. We think we'll have a resubmission next month. That's it for that project. Now we'll move down to the Bay Bridge, and it's BB 2726, which is the eastbound deck rehabilitation. So just this past Monday night, we were able to finally have a period of weather where we were ready to go, and so we were able to effect the first panel removement and installation of a new panel. So the contractor worked with the ops team and was able to get a bit of an extended period for a Monday night to enable to make sure we had enough time to do all the work that's associated with removing that old deck and putting a new piece in. Everything went well. We were cleared the bridge by 5:30, which was a half an hour before our 6 o'clock deadline. And so the team had a meeting yesterday to review how things went, that timeline, where we could make improvements, what we could do to get it under 7 hours, which is our goal. So we've identified quite a number of things where we think we can pick up 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and all of that leading to a duration that's under 7 hours. So with that, we are looking to go for our second panel tonight and then continue to move forward as long as weather permits. In terms of this project, we're working with under a first package, as this was a CMAR, so we have a second package that we'll be looking to receive pricing on from the contractor, so we'll be issuing that package to them shortly, and then receiving prices and hopefully coming to terms on a second work package, which will allow them to continue casting panels and then installing panels seamlessly without a stop.
Jim, who's the major contractor?
Kokosing, it's a joint venture, Kokosing and McLean.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, we're showing that we're still on target. Because this is highly weather dependent with wind, let alone rain and other things, we'll see how many we can perform. But with reduced timelines, we're actually hopeful that we can get to a point where we're actually doing 2 panels in one night. All right. We'll move on to HT 2709. That is the envelope and switchgear replacements at BHT. So this is where we're replacing the exterior of the buildings, and that allows us to get at the electrical equipment, the switchgear that's inside inside those buildings. The contractor has been working on various items of work, including drainage from the roof, making sure that we have adequate drainage on the roofing system there. They've abated the asbestos that was in elevator floor tiles, caulking, and let's see. So that's fully abated, and we're good on that. They've installed some of the conduit for the electrical pieces, including duct banks, to set up the future work for the main switchgear replacements. They've also demoed the west side of the Canton vent building, so that work is really visible if you happen to come off of the I-95 and exit at Keith Avenue. That's really clearly visible that the building walls, one of the walls have been demolished. The contractor is also working on demolishing the wall at the Fairfield vent building at the same time there. And they are also working on the foundations for an expansion at the Canton vent building. We needed to expand that a bit to fit some of the equipment, so they are working on that expansion as well. Okay, we'll move on to HB 3001, which is the cleaning and painting of the Hatem Bridge. The contractor is working on installing their rigging and platform systems on the bridge. They've brought a work barge to the site for having their blasting equipment on there, and they've also commenced with steel repairs. They will continue setting up their platforms and then begin on working on blasting some of that steel, as well as continue with those steel repairs. Okay. Next, we have KB 3005, which is the I-95 or I-695 subgrade improvements at Bear Creek. So they will be addressing some of the issues we have with bridge back walls. We have some settlement issues on Main Line 695 and a couple of the ramps. And then we have some grouting operations that will also take care of some settlement that we have out there. Notice to proceed for that project was on March 25th. So they were working on the night of March 25th, and they were doing some striping that night out there. Because this was in close proximity to Key Bridge, we had to pause work. We were able to resume work on April 16th, and so they started setting up their Phase 2 maintenance of traffic, and with the closures that we had in place, it kind of just a minor adjustments, and we were able to make those adjustments, and the contractor was able to start work. So they have done a demo of the median barrier, and they've started the pavement removal over the parts where we have the settlement, so that is well underway, and they expect to start driving pile out there in the first full week of May.
Jim, what were you referenced that there were expense savings from this, from lower bids, so what were the savings?
It was, we received bids that were under our estimate.
Oh, okay, how much?
Shucks. I'll have to. Think. I'll have to get that to you. I'm sorry, I forgot. Next, we'll move into one of the projects that's in procurement, so KH 3020. It's another ETL project. It's the extension from Maryland 24 north to Bynum Run, where we're taking two ETL lanes that will be there, and we're going to transition them down to one lane and then get it back into the 3 general purpose lanes that will continue north from Bynum Run. That project was advertised in February, and we actually just opened bids yesterday. So we would be looking to come to Capital Committee and the board in June of this year with an anticipated notice to proceed in August of this year. Our second project that's in procurement is KH 3021. That is the reconstruction of the Maryland 24 interchange with I-95. This project was submitted to procurement on April 15th. We have an advertisement scheduled for June 11th, and we anticipate we'd be able to receive or get grant NTP for construction in November or December of this year. And that would be the last major construction project for the ETL program to advertise. And finally, our project that is in design is KH 3025. That is a new maintenance facility, phase 1 of that new facility. That facility is necessary in support of the extended ETL lanes. So this phase 1 includes the stormwater management, utilities, some pavement, structures for vehicle covered storage, salt barns, and fuel islands as well. We have an anticipated advertisement in October of this year with an anticipated notice to proceed in June of next year.
Yes.
Where would that be located at this point? Do you have an idea, Jim, the facility?
This is off of Raphael Road, and we are working on a land swap with Baltimore County.
Got it.
For the
Okay.
Schmidt property, which is adjacent to I-95.
Right, got it. Thank you.
This is one of the projects we have identified with the covered parking, where we would be looking to install solar on that parking. So this is one of those locations where we've been able to identify a spot where we can try to implement solar to support that facility. And that's all I have.
Great. Any other questions for Jim? On the Belvedere interchange, any major issues with the schedule there?
So the schedule now we are looking at is being solidified in summer of '26. Now that we've gotten to the point where we were able to get the approvals with MDE, so we're looking like we're on good footing now.
Great.
It was just that initial
Gotcha.
permitting.
Great. Yes, sir.
The answer to this question, the engineer's estimate of 38 versus 32.
Thank you. 5 million. Yeah.
It was driving me crazy.
Very good. Any other questions for Jim? All right, thank you. All right, we'll do an update of the information technology. David?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to the board. Nice to see everyone again. For the record, my name is David Goldsboro. I am the Director of Information Technology for the Transportation Authority. The purpose of this update is to give the board some insights on the ongoing project work and any major activities within IT. As of April 25th, the Division of Information Technology does maintain an active portfolio of about 21 projects and continued support of the third generation tolling system, also referred to as 3G. Major update from the last time I advised the board that this was going on. We did complete penetration testing. The final report was submitted to us by Cyber Defense Technologies. This covered external testing, where attempts are made to gain access to any of our infrastructure from the outside, which would include our websites. They also tested the wireless infrastructure. The goal there is really just to try to exploit any potential vulnerabilities. We do have a cyber update today, Mr. Chairman, so I'll go into some detail there. But overall, I will say I was extremely pleased with this report. So I think the board will be happy to see the results of that as well. So I'll go into updating on our major projects. first off is our HR Central, which basically is moving the Salesforce system that we have in place to the new Lightning platform. The team completed Sprint 32, which is our class and comp proficiency progression. So we look pretty much on target for completing that project in the 2025 first quarter timeframe. Our scheduling system, if you recall, this is used in our stop-in centers. It allows customers to schedule an appointment with a customer representative to go in and discuss their EasyPass account. We closed that out, and we received some requirements for what we're going to do as a subsequent phase. We are doing a few things there, I think, that are going to make the product a lot better or enhance it. We are connecting the scheduler to the customer accounts that are in EasyPass. So when a customer representative goes into their integrity account, which is the back end from TransCore, any appointments that were scheduled and the outcome of those appointments will be posted into that account. So all of the data will be consolidated to one spot. We are also deploying satisfaction surveys, and the newest update is we are adding a mobile check-in procedure. It's an application that will sit on your phone. So when you pull into the stop-in center, you can check in. If you're early, the manager can let you know if there's an opening to go ahead and come on in, or they can tell you that they're running a little bit behind. The goal there is really just to keep the foot traffic down inside of the stop-in centers. So really excited to get that going. And we've actually had some requests for it from customers that have come in. So that was in response to that. Moving on to our Maximo Spatial, we completed all of our testing. I am happy to say that the Maximo Spatial is up and running as of March the 2nd. We do have all of the elevators loaded in. We're going to be going through the next set of activities, which is to get the warranty information loaded, and we're looking to deploy mobile devices so that they can do their inspections in the field, things of that nature. And then we will just be working through all of the 7 core asset groups that are required as part of the strategic asset management program. So very good news there as well. Our open text upgrade, we've been trying to finalize this. That the product is broken down into 2 parts: the content server and process suite. The content server has been a little bit temperamental, but we're finalizing all of the testing. I think we're going to be live in a few weeks, so hopefully it'll be a better update the next time we do this presentation.
So these go-live dates are 24, just so I'm clear.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
The go-live dates show 23?
Yes, one side of it went live in 23. We had to push off the other component. So process suite went live in 2023. Content server got kicked to 2024.
Great. Thank you.
Our Dynamics upgrade, we are actually winding this down as well. The team has done a fantastic job. We worked to unwind a lot of the customizations that were in the current version of Dynamics, and with the goal in working with Deb Sharpless's team was to get back to the core so that we didn't have to redevelop customizations for when the product would go through any patches or changes. We went through a review process with the finance team. All of the work that we did on those reviews is completed. We'll be done with testing over the coming month or so, and then it's a training effort. So we will be ready to go live with the Dynamics upgrade very soon. So it's good news there as well. Our HRIS conversion to the cloud. The 2 major activities there, we're working on data validations for the initial load. The main goal is to get the supervisor hierarchy established in that system. That will be a feeder for a lot of other subsystems, and supervisor hierarchy is very critical for that. There's some other demographic information that we're loading in for the employees. It's a small set, but we're really going to get one shot to get this right out of the gate, so we want to put as much effort into this as possible. Moving on to our data center enhancements, this is our power and cooling update for the JFK data center as well as the ICC. The advertisement was delayed because of an error in the pricing sheet. That got corrected. It was republished, and I believe that either the quotes are in or they're ready to come in, but it pushed the work to commence into quarter 2. But I still think we're in good shape there. The clearinghouse application, which is basically the tracking of our MDTA drivers that hold a CDL. We are doing a lot of data mapping there, loading the driver's license information into the Salesforce application. a lot of testing going on, and we're also testing e-signatures for consent. Moving on, our final two projects that will be updated today is our police body-worn cameras. We have selected the Exon vendor. We're staying consistent with what the state police are doing, as well as the district attorney's office for the state. They are using evidence.com, which is the back end for the Exon system. So we have 8 units that came in. We'll be testing them out, mainly for the video uploads. We'll take a look at what the stress is on the network when they come in. They'll be docking them into a small, it's basically, it looks like a small dock that they'll plug into, and it charges it, and it uploads the video out through the MDTA MDOT network. So we'll be doing some testing there, also making sure that we understand the evidence.com platform, and really just laying out all the procedures for how this will work. We have to hit a legislative date, I believe, of next July 1. There's legislation that has mandated body-worn cameras for all police officers by that time. So we will be moving very quick after this pilot completes. The final update for this morning is our prism, which is our compliance tracking system for our contracts. I am happy to say that product went live and back in February, so we got pulled from the last update, so we didn't get a chance to let the board know that we were live with prism. But we are officially live with our prism compliance tracking system. We have a couple of leftover items there. We're working on some custom reports, and we are loading in the ability to do 200 additional contracts. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my update. Be happy to take questions.
Mr. Chairman, this is Member Von Paris. I have just a couple of quick questions on the Maximo system. Are there triggering mechanisms like time-sensitive capabilities where, for example, you mentioned the maintenance records, but also like compliance and/or like if the contract has an evergreen provision in it, or would that be handled somewhere else? Sometimes you need notice of
Right.
a year in advance of an evergreen provision, or some of these other things that are time sensitive. So that has the tracking, the ability to notify.
So that's in the maintenance and the warranties, and so that we're looking to gain that out of there. So what will happen, Member Von Paris, is when the assets get loaded, preventive maintenance program will get established for them, which will provide alerts for when certain maintenance items should be completed. I think what's been happening is we don't know when something is coming out of warranty or if something should be covered underneath of warranty. So I guess leveraging that portion of Maximo will give us a lot of that documentation and alerting that you're referring to. I don't know how automated it is, but it will be one repository for that information to be located and accessible.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? David,
Yes.
any coordination or lessons learned from the police cameras with the MTA, the Maryland Transit Administration, their police force?
I believe that Sergeant Rose is working very close with them on some lessons learned to adopt, not make that same mistake.
No, I understand.
They are definitely
had
working
some
very
issues,
close,
right.
yes,
I
for
appreciate
sure.
it. And the Metro down in D.C., the same thing.
Right,
So
right.
we're all sort of trying to wrestle with some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
This will be the first time that we've deployed body cams. We do have the in-car system under COBAN, and that will be transitioning to Exon as well. But the priority really is the body worn because of the legislation. But those lessons learned are very important.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for David? If not, thank you, David.
Okay, see you in closed session.
Next item number 6, Civil Rights Fair Practice Socioeconomic Programs. Tia, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Wiedefeld, board members. Tia Ratini, Director of Civil Rights and Fair Practices, giving you a quarterly update for quarter 2 on our socioeconomic programs. Starting with our federal DBE program, the I-95 interchange at Belvedere, construction has started a few months ago, so our current DBE attainment is 8.76. The Nice Bridge replacement is at 18.13. Our campus improvements are at 24.98. The construction management inspection services, which are A&E contracts, 3049 is attaining 27.66. AE 3050 is at 24.27, and AE 3051 is at 19.99%. Moving to our MBE program for the second quarter, we are currently at 26.93% for MBE utilization. Our SBR program, Small Business Reserve for designated is 0.39 and non-designated is 1.65 for a total SBR designation, SBR utilization, of 2.07. And our veteran-owned small business enterprise program is currently at 8.43%. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. When there's a bid and a bidder says they're going to be 20% goal, there's a 20% goal, and they fail to achieve that, how does that work?
Well, usually, we do look at, if the initial goal that we put on it was 20 and they kept with that 20%, we try to work with the prime contractor, if there's a change in the scope of work that could have, not enabled them to use an MBE or a DBE on the contract. Maybe tasks that were originally on the contract have been subtracted. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they may not be able to. MBEs or DBEs go out of business, resources unavailable. So we try to have them do a good faith effort to make up for that lost participation and, work with them to do a modification on the contract for their plan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tia, are you involved with the disparity study that M does?
Not directly, no, sir.
All right, could you please follow up with Assistant Secretary Bridges?
Yes.
And just make sure that we're getting as much response to the survey from some of the firms that you deal with. I
Okay.
know a lot of these cross between the different modes, but just want to make sure we've touched everybody we could on that.
Okay, I know that at our last outreach in March, I did have the flyers with the code, and we did speak to that disparity study.
Okay.
But I will reach out
Yeah,
to Mr.
please.
Bridges.
I know they have a number of things they're ready to do over the next month in May, so just
Okay.
making sure that we pull in the total authority with that.
Sure, no
Thank you.
problem.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Agenda item number 7, update on the MDTA's travel plazas. Simon?
Good morning, Chairman Wiedefeld, members of the board. For the record, my name is Simon Najar, and I'm the Maryland Travel Plazas Administrator for the Chesapeake and Maryland houses with my annual update. The MDTA is in the midst of a 35-year public-private partnership with Ares USA. This arrangement allows us to unlock an asset's value and allows an owner like the MDTA to attain a very favorable return and focus on its core expertise while working with a concessionaire like Ares USA as an operator. Ares USA's parent is one of the world's largest operators in providing hospitality, food and beverage services, and also is representative at many U.S. airports and toll highways, including Florida and West Virginia. This arrangement allows us to deploy our resources and focus on our expertise in building toll roads, bridges, and tunnels while receiving revenues that can be deployed elsewhere. I'm not going to go through all the slides, but just want to give you a few highlights. On page 3, we discuss a little bit about the background of the redevelopment. Key takeaway here is that Ares USA invested $56 million directly into demolition of the previous structures, put together new buildings with a stipulation that it's going to maintain and operate the facilities in good working order during the lease term, and the MDTA will assume control at the end of the lease, while the MDTA receives 10 to 15% of gross revenue generated throughout the 35-year term. On page 17, I have some graphs showing that for calendar year 2023, we exceeded sales or revenue going back to calendar year 2019. We're hoping that success continues through 2024. On page 18, you'll see that the MDTA earned $4.79 million. The Chesapeake and Maryland houses contributed $2.96 million. The Sunoco fuel and convenience store operations contributed $1.83 million, and this compares to an overall revenue of $4.27 million in calendar year 2022, or an increase of 12%. Again, all this money can now be deployed back into the MDTA's operations. Some of the changes that have occurred at the travel plazas, we have new management at the Maryland House. There's been an increase in bus traffic. There's been protests in Washington. There were numerous protests last year in Washington, and a lot of that bus traffic is coming to the Maryland House. It is the last full-service travel plaza on I-95 as it heads southbound to Washington. It is also the first full travel plaza on the way back on northbound 95. Also, while AIRS is providing revenue to the MDTA, they're also very active in our community. On page 21, we have some photos from a community outreach event, as well as the America's 9/11 Ride. AIRS USA and its guests have been contributing to worthy causes such as breast cancer awareness, assistance to Ukraine, and partner with Habitat for Humanity in Northeast Maryland, local Boy and Girl Scout troops, and other worthy causes. As a wrap-up, I'm going to just review a couple of key enhancements that were made at the travel plazas last year. First of all, this is on slide number 22. The most important one was the milling, paving, and striping of all ramps in and out of the travel plazas, as well as some of the parking lots. The restrooms were renovated, including installation of 56 new sinks and replacement of some fixtures, installation of new soda fountains and case goods. We have a new fenced-in dog park at the Maryland House because we want to cater to all of our guests. That includes our four-legged guests also. For 2024, the concession is planning furniture and fixture repairs and other improvements. Some of the challenges that are out there have been consistent for the last couple of years. Labor is very tight. There's competition, especially in the hospitality industry. And we also have an increased acceptance and awareness of technology, which allows savvy travelers to price shop and identify alternatives. We also face potential reduction in revenue if gas prices increase, which could affect budget-conscious travelers. That concludes my presentation, and if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Sam, I don't know if this is under the sort of contract management, but in terms of human trafficking, what are they doing, and are we comfortable with what they're doing?
AIRS USA has partnered with GBMC. They have yearly training. We also have posted signs inside as you enter into the men's room, as well as the women's rooms at both facilities. And also Sunoco has partnered in that same area in that we have signage posted as you enter the restrooms.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Agenda item number 8, MDTA police update. Colonel Scott.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Scott. I am the Acting Chief for the Maryland Transportation Authority Police. Today I'll give you a quarterly overview of the MDTA Police. Excuse me. As you're well aware, March 26th kind of changes some things for MDTA as a whole, as well as the MDTA Police. That was a phone call I'll never forget. And it has also changed the dynamics in how currently we deploy in and around the Baltimore metro area. That being said, I couldn't be more proud of the police and how we responded as we came in Later on in this presentation or later on in the board meeting, we'll have some first responders that'll come in and will be recognized with resolutions. They've done a phenomenal job. I could not be prouder of the men and women of the MDTA police, and that is sworn as well as civilians. So that has been a very, very eye-opening experience for a lot, but I think we've been able to weather the storm, and some of the things that we've been able to do thus far and what we do in the future has to be changed in regards to some of the traffic management issues and so on and so forth that comes from the bridge collapse. As I said, the first responders that came to the initial call, the locals from MSP to Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and all the different agencies that came to the incident command at headquarters, the unified command that was started there and then since moved to the current location, it was just phenomenal. I've never seen that many resources in one area so quickly, and how seamlessly we were able to work together. It all came from the fact that we have relationships that have been built over the years, and those relationships pay dividends. One of the other things that I'm really proud of is our health and wellness unit, which our health and wellness unit has been utilized in this last month, from speaking with family members of those who have lost members of their family, as well as being able to help people through the stress of this situation. Last week we had a presentation of the Health and Wellness did a presentation with some of the MDOT and MDTA executives just to make sure we touch bases on our own people when it comes to dealing with stress. Sometimes it's that silent thing that no one understands, but we have officers and dispatchers who have utilized health and wellness as well as we continue to mitigate through some of these situations. MDTA Police is very proud of their current community engagement program. One of the things we've done so far year to date is we've done 34 community engagement programs, and one of the things that I'm particularly proud of is the closest community to the MDTA Police headquarters is Turner Station. And I've developed a relationship with the pastor over there at Mount Olive Baptist Church, and we were invited, the MDTA Police were invited on March the 17th to a Sunday service. They called it Civic Engagement. And what they did was they actually gave us a certificate of recognition for our work in the community. And upcoming this next year, there are numerous events that are on the calendar for us to do with that community. One of the side notes to that is when we had the catastrophic incident of the bridge falling, the key bridge falling, one of the first calls I got was from the pastor. And again, that just tells you when you build those relationships, they come back. And then there was some food delivered to the church that was for the first responders at headquarters that the pastor then called me to reroute them to headquarters so the first responders could be taken care of. One of the things we are still struggling with is our vacancies. So currently to date, we have 65 vacancies. We just currently on April the 10th had a class graduate, class 58, and we had 11 personnel graduate in that class that are being acclimated. They will be going through a training program, field training program, and then they'll be released, and then they will actually be on their own and can help with some of those vacancies. On April the 16th, we did MDTA Police conducted our annual awards ceremony where over 100 individuals were recognized for the work they did in 2023. I think it's paramount that we let people know how much they appreciate it and also acknowledge the fine work that they do. When it comes to one of our key things we tend to focus on is DUIs, getting drunks off our streets. So March the 14th through the 18th, that weekend was St. Patrick's Day weekend. And we did a DUI initiative on that weekend, during the course of that weekend, that netted us 14 drunks. But we also were able to go out and serve 16 warrants. And these warrants was for people that were specifically locked up previously and refused to go to court for drunk driving. So we stayed in that same vein, following up on the initial lockup and then following through when the warrants are issued and going and actually rounding these people up and making them be accountable. Leadership. I'm big on leadership development. So currently, we have the staff going through a program utilizing a book called Extreme Ownership that was written by some Navy SEALs. And the key to that book is that you must take ownership and responsibilities for yourself and your actions, and not putting it out on other people. We started with senior staff last year, and now we'll continue to move that through the agency. I just think it's a phenomenal program where people can take accountability for their own actions and not put it out on someone else. We're also pressing for our command staff members to go to command schools. That's Northwestern, an FBI academy, and that has been one of our Achilles heel, and I wanted to attack that and make sure we look at what it is the current young ladies in the agency need or don't have, and how we can take care of them better, as well as females coming into the agency. And one of the things that came out of that is we're going to do a mentor program for female law enforcement officers. And that will start from the minute a young lady comes into the academy. They will have someone to walk them through the process. Sometimes the academy can be kind of rough, but the unnerving piece to that is we've had 3 fatalities more than we've had this time last year. So what we have to do with that is take out crash reconstruction personnel and make sure we're working with engineers and making sure we're doing everything possible to make sure those type of things don't happen, specifically on those specific areas. One of the things that we're down in this year, statistically, is 29% we're down in DUI enforcement or DUI lockups. There's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons is, if you know, these first 3 months of the year has been a lot of rain. And that can be problematic when it comes to doing enforcement out there, specifically at nighttime and pulling over drunks. But in reality, we will definitely have targeted that, and we will definitely turn that trend around, because that's our meat and potatoes of what we do on a regular basis. That concludes my overview of the first quarter. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, stay there. We'll go ahead and at least recognize our folks, and they can be in here for the next part.
Okay.
While the officers are coming in, just what the chief mentioned, that we wanted to recognize, we know you all want to recognize the officers that were and the dispatchers that were part of the response on the 26th. And it's been a privilege serving with these officers and meeting them at various occasions. But we had the privilege, as the chief indicated, the secretary, a couple of the members, being at the graduation a couple weeks ago, and we indicated to those graduates that they're putting themselves at risk to help others and save lives. And on the 26th, these officers and dispatchers really stood up and did an incredible job in that situation, made the MDTA proud. And I'd like the chief to go through the introductions of the folks that are with us here today.
Absolutely. First and foremost, Sergeant Pastore. See, you're out of order. You're throwing me off.
They all have the same haircut, too.
Got Sergeant Paul Pastore here. He was one of the first ones on the scene that kind of shut down the bridge on the north side, south side. And then Officer Curtis, he was the one who shut down the bridge on the north side. Paramount in our response, that kept us from having more people going across the bridge. So those gentlemen, along with some of the dispatchers as well, were honored by the governor. They went to the governor's game, was in the governor's box, so on and so forth. There's more to come in that. So we have Corporal Jeremy Herbert. He was the first supervisor on the scene. He was the one that received the call. Think about that. He actually received the call. And from that, of course, he went into action and got over to the incident command to get the ball rolling. We have Sergeant Fields. He's at the port detachment. He was one of the first ones on the scene as well. You understand, FSK, the port is right next door. Once the call goes out, everyone comes. Everyone comes. Then we have Sergeant Bernaccia, and I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
There's a G.
G, that's what I call him lovingly. Sergeant Bernaccia was one of the first ones on the scene as well. Started the incident command and then going over to Fort Armistead. Then we have Corporal Vallejo. Now, Corporal Vallejo also helped us when it came to the unification of the families. Because he speaks fluent Spanish, he was able to help us and communicate with the families as they came to the reunification. And then we have our dispatchers, and I'm gonna be totally honest, each and every name, I don't have Lance, supervisor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Lance was the supervisor that night. Shakia Nelson, phone, was working that night as well. And then dispatch lead, Sierra Maple. Good morning, man. She was on dispatch as well. Jacqueline Lacey. How are you, ma'am? And then dispatcher Kevin Brown. So I just like to say, sometimes you see the police officers out front, and that's all you think about. They are our lifeline. And without them, it's really no us, because we're just running around. They keep us straight, and when officers get hyped up and emotional, they're the common voice. They are the common voice. And I truly, truly appreciate it. And it is a team effort. So this is a team, and again, there are many, many more that was a part of it, but these were some of the first ones on the scene that were in action. So we just wanted to recognize them. We have resolutions for each and every one of them, and I think we wanted to take the photo.
Yeah, well, we can pause after the open session, and you all hopefully stay around a little bit more for us. Thank you, and we'll go back to that. So,
All right, so Dr.
Yeah.
Just hang up there.
If we could for one moment, yeah. Any comments from the? That's all right. Any comments from any of the board members? Good. Member
I
comments?
mean, Bean, we got started getting texts early in the morning. And then by the time we got the call from the chief of staff and others about the incident, we thought about the response. We saw in the news that the lives had been saved, the lives had been lost. We were obviously mourning to this day, but the lives were saved because your actions were incredible. Thank you.
I just want to simply say thank you, and that seems so meaningless in all that you did. You are all heroes, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Heroes would be an understatement, and to add to that, leadership is often about action, not position. Every one of you, at that moment of truth, became true leaders for the state of Maryland. So we all thank you for your actions, for your leadership, and we wish you all continued success being the leaders that you are.
Thank you so much for everything you did and you continue to do as this process continues. I know it's a high level of stress, and you all responded very well, and we appreciate you for that.
I'd just like to say I listened to the dispatch communications, and it was very moving. The dispatchers did a great job, and the communication seemed to be within jurisdiction to be in line. But you all are, as it was said, you are the heroes. Those of you who were willing to put your life on the line. And one officer just said he was going to go right back up on the bridge. And I just, I can't say enough, words can't express the appreciation we have for you. You are truly heroes. Thank you.
I echo all my fellow members' comments. The only other thing I say is on that day, I started receiving messages and texts, not just nationally, but from international people, because this was obviously international news. And I would say not just the MDTA and not just Baltimore, but Maryland showed, despite the tragedy, how strong we are as a state and as a force, and that's really a testament to all of you, so thank you.
Of the first communication with the boat, it was all over the country, and everyone was very proud of the job you guys did at Zion. Thank you.
Gotta make this unanimous, but no, seriously, I don't, not to be repetitive, but wow, touring the bridge the other day was a heavy moment, and realize, I'm saying it weeks later, I can't imagine how overwhelming it must have been for you all at that time, and for you to respond in such a positive way, to jump in and put your lives in danger, keep the police officers calm. Thank you for exercising the way you did. Great work, and proud to be with you guys.
If I could, it's interesting, the NTSB, as they're doing the investigation, I know at one of the earlier stages, when they were looking at the timeline of the response, they thought that there had been a mistake, because they felt there's no way that there could have been this quick of a response in literally 100 seconds, right? Which is phenomenal. So they just didn't believe their numbers. Like, how could we possibly respond that quickly? And again, that goes to the dispatch, responding very quickly and calmly, obviously the officers, the maritime unit as well. And also, I think the initial establishment of the Unified Command / Incident Command at the headquarters was excellent, obviously, in the middle of the night, to pull all that together very, very quickly, to start to pull information, to allocate resources, to think of all the potential aspects of this. Because, as we're all, we do not know what's going on, right? And we're thinking all types of avenues that this thing could have gone, and the professionalism that was shown across the board is now known worldwide. And so thank you. And Sergeant G, thank you for, he was the officer that basically was sort of, taking me around to understand what was going on, and I appreciate your professionalism, particularly with someone that did not understand a lot of what was going on, but you providing that guidance was very helpful in the middle of the night, so thank you. And with that, I think we will take a photo later or something, shortly after?
Shortly.
All right, very soon. So thank you. We'll see you very shortly. Legislative updates.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Bradley.
After that one, I've got some big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm Bradley Ryan, Manager of Government Relations, and I'm here to provide a recap of the 2024 session of the Maryland General Assembly, which adjourned sine die on Monday, April the 8th. I will now provide an update on two bills of interest that were approved by the General Assembly and signed into law by Governor Moore. Senate Bill 1188, the Maryland Protecting Opportunities in Regional Trade Act, or the PORT Act, which was introduced by Senate President Ferguson and Senator Salling. This was emergency legislation that, among other provisions, increase the MDTA bond cap to $4 billion so that the state can move more swiftly to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge after the collapse of the bridge. Another one, House Bill 513, the Maryland Road Worker Protection Act, which was a major initiative of the Moore-Miller administration, which increases the maximum fine for work zone speed camera violations to $80 starting in June. The fines will then increase through a tiered system. Two bills that we monitored this session that passed the House but did not ultimately move through the Senate. House Bill 1070, the Maryland Toll Rate Reform Act, which is introduced by Delegate Corman. would have required the MDTA to fix, revise, charge, and collect fees, tolls, and other charges at the near optimal toll rate and transfer money into the transportation facilities overage account under certain circumstances. Bill hearings were held, but no further action was taken. House Bill 750 obscured or modified registration plates, which was introduced by Delegate Ziegler, proposed to alter the current prohibition regarding obscuring or modifying a vehicle registration plate with intent to avoid identification by instead prohibiting such activity in a manner that may prevent identification. We submitted a joint letter of information with the Maryland Vehicle Administration, noting the positive aspects of the bill with regard to Easy Pass operations, as well as our concerns with the bill in regard to police enforcement. This year's Joint Chairman's Report, or JCR, requires the MDTA to submit 2 reports. The first report pertains to collecting outstanding tolls from out-of-state motorists. The second report pertains to buffered bicycle pedestrian lanes on MDTA facilities. The committee's request that the MDTA collaborate with the SHA and local jurisdictions to identify appropriate locations for bicycle ways and pedestrian walkways that cross authority highways, run parallel to authority highways and bridges, or others that involve MDTA facilities. The MDTA is also required to provide approximate cost estimates for such infrastructures. Both reports are due to the legislature later this year. This wraps up my final presentation of the 2024 legislation section. The 2025 session will convene on January 8th, 2025. I'd like to thank all the team here at MDTA. It's been a team effort, and just really want to appreciate them for their work on getting through the session, and also at TSO, the other modes, other state agencies. It's truly been a team effort, and I appreciate your time and would be happy to entertain any questions.
Member Sneed, I have a question regarding that report. Is there a timeline for that report? Will it be 1 year or longer?
Which one?
The bicycle pedestrian access?
Course of next session.
Okay.
Correct.
So they'll have it wrapped and have
Correct.
it prepared before next session to propose a bill based on the report? Is that?
Not necessarily to propose a bill, it's an initial assessment. And,
Okay.
Obviously, it'll be a challenge given the other workload we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Are we gonna, I guess we're gonna see that bill to increase the tolls and then turn the money over to the, I guess it was, I don't know who the state gets the money, but that'll come back, I imagine, right?
Potentially.
Yeah, it was introduced last year. It was introduced this year.
Okay.
In a little different circumstances now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Bruce?
Thank you, members.
Good morning, members. Jim and I are going to tag team on the Francis Scott Key update that we have on the agenda today. We wanted to provide a brief overview of some of the salvage operations. Jim's been front and center on that. Some of you have seen that in operation, so he can start with that. We can talk a little bit about our procurement process and our next steps on the rebuild, and then a little bit on the traffic impact. So Jim, why don't you go ahead with the salvage?
All right. So As was mentioned earlier a couple of times, there is a commands center that is in place that is responsible for dealing with the response. And so there is a unified command of which I am a part of, and that command is working to carry out all the salvage and restoration options, the recovery operations, and they are moving forward on that for the to reopen the federal channel. So first and foremost, we talk about it often. The number one goal is still the recovery of the victims. Second is the reopening of the channel, and of course we place a high priority on safety, and we are not sacrificing safety for speed. And we were so far all the operations have been carried out with 0 injuries to this point. And it is a very complex situation out there, as many of you have been able to see the size and the scope, the scale. So there is a lot of engineering that goes into being able to remove that twisted and debris that is just in various states, in the mud, underwater, above the water. So overall, we have hundreds of people, dozens of pieces of equipment, and even some very specialized heavy lift equipment that is working on this unified integrated response. So far, we have removed more than 2,300 tons of the truss steel, the wreckage in the river. We have a contractor out there, Skanska, and their subcontractors. They are processing all of that steel at a yard on Sparrows Point. This past weekend, the Unified Command was able to open up a 3rd temporary channel. They had opened up previously 2 pretty small draft channels, alternate channels, but this one that they opened this past weekend was a 20-foot channel that our contractor Skanska was able to open. That enabled some what we were calling commercially essential vessels to pass through there. Some of the goods that are moving through there are sugar for Domino. We have coal. We have some liquid fertilizer that's important that is now being able to move in there. And as well as we have some aluminum, and these are mostly barge materials, and these materials before they were maybe able to use the low draft channel. They would have certainly less than a full loaded barge. Now they can fully load that barge and get in and out. Today, actually, the Unified Command was able to announce the opening of a 4th deeper temporary channel. This is a part of the main channel. It's not the full depth yet. It's 35 feet, and it's about 300 foot wide. That channel opened at 8 a.m. this morning, and they are going to run that operation for 4 days. And what this 4-day period allows them to do is to get some of the vessels. There were 7 vessels that were stuck at port since the 26th. They were able to get those vessels are able to transit out. So those vessels will be going out, and there are some vessels, I think as many as 4 at this time, scheduled to come into the port. So far, in total, we've moved 145 commercial vessels through those temporary channels. We remain on schedule to fully open the federal channel before the end of May. And then I guess I was...
Yep.
Okay.
Jump in there and just, this has been an incredible effort that Jim and his team have undertaken with the contractors. I don't know if I said it last board meeting because it's been such a blur the past month, but in talking about our next steps, I'll just say that the entire team behind me here has been involved in this preparing for a rebuild effort. The Secretary has been front and center with the Governor on getting the federal support for this, the project, and we remain optimistic that we'll get that bipartisan support for the federal funding, but it's a constant effort, and we hope to hear more on that by the end of May. In the meantime, we have to keep moving forward. Finance, Deb has been working with the insurance proceeds and getting those, which eventually that's part of what will offset some of that federal funding and go back to them from our insurance policies, legal, and all the efforts that Kim and the Attorney General's office is undertaking will help with the financing. But really getting ready for a request for proposals on this bridge. So you heard the governor say the progressive design build effort is the delivery method that we are proposing to use. It's a single contract procured to complete the design and the construction of the project. It allows the state to closely inform the design process early on and reduces the overall time to complete that project. We are further defining the elements, the cost, the schedule as part of that, and we are working closely with industry. In fact, we are announcing later today that a virtual industry forum will be held on May 7th to initiate the efforts of rebuilding the Key Bridge. That really helps the industry understand the goals that we have, the project, the teaming potentials, the DBE potentials on the project, et cetera. And we look forward to working with them. We already have questions that the Contractors Association has developed that helps prepare us for the questions that the industry is going to have on that. And we want all firms to be interested in this. This is going to be an incredible effort. So we really are looking forward to that event on May 7th. It'll be a virtual event for industry. And to get that RFP out as soon as we can after that. So I might pause for the chairman to add anything that he thinks I might have missed on that, but I just have to really say that having to do both these things at the same time at rapid speed and sometimes going up and down during a day has been an adventure, but one that this team has proven itself up to.
No, any comments from the board members?
This is Member Von Paris. Based on our proximity to Washington, would it be appropriate or mutually advantageous to have other members outside of the state of Maryland, members of Congress, visit this site?
Actually, the governor has open invitation. We've had numerous Congress members come up. I'm actually meeting some at 1 o'clock there today as well. And in fact, potentially entire delegations, maybe, or entire committee members may be coming up, important committee members for some of the avenues that we're pursuing. I think in early May that may be occurring. We've already had numerous. We've had the Secretary of Army here yesterday, for instance, so the Commandant of the Coast Guard. So at every level, there's been, and obviously the President's visit as well. So we continue to do that. We recently held a meeting at the White House last week, again, with some of the key players, particularly on, obviously, dealing with the immediate situation, but also thinking through the rebuild and how do we do that. Thank you.
Member Snead, will the RFP include some sort of accelerated NEPA exceptions, or is there a federal exception for NEPA, or is that part of the RFP process?
Well, I'll just start by saying that the U.S. DOT and Federal Highways has been incredibly helpful. We've been in frequent meetings with them on that process. Melissa Williams from planning has started into that process and helping with those determinations. So we're hoping that is a parallel process and it should be fairly efficient. But I'll turn that over to Jim to follow up on.
So, concurrent to developing the progressive design build documentation, we're also already working through a NEPA. So we are actively pursuing NEPA and working with Federal Highway and our other agency partners. We're targeting a very accelerated NEPA decision, and we hope to be able to wrap that up this summer as we implement the progressive design build at the same time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Member Rosen. So that's great that we're having this virtual meeting coming up, and hopefully we learn a lot from that. Once the RFP is out, do we have any estimate of time frame to then receive responses and ultimately select the contractor to commence commence the work and everything associated with it?
We're going to be trying as fast as possible. It's unlikely before July 1st, but we are moving as fast as possible to be shortly after that.
So July 1st is to have the RFP issued?
No,
Or
to
receive it?
we're working on an award in this
Terrific.
summer.
Thank you.
Any other question? All right, if I could, I mean, obviously, the entire team has been fantastic. Jim, you are just unbelievable asset to the Unified Command. They turn to Jim and our team repeatedly, obviously through the Salvage, but through just the level of information professionalism and follow-up that has been done by Jim and his team. At the same time, as was reported earlier, managing a very big capital program. So thank you so much for everything that you all been doing, and obviously the entire team behind you. So thank you.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't do a shout out for State Highway Administration for the support that they've given us as well on the federal aid side.
Yeah,
And
no,
Russell's
I mean,
side bill, yes.
it really does show the value of a multimodal Department of Transportation, because in terms of the port, the Transportation Authority and State Highway, and then having the mechanisms in place to deal with some of these federal processes and the in effect, the elected official process, both locally and nationally, to have that all under one roof and to orchestrate that and be as efficient and as productive as we can really does show the value of a unified, in effect, Department of Transportation. So anyway, but thank you. Very good. Chairman's report?
Yep. So thank you. Turning to the Executive Director's report now, and I will try to be very brief given the length of your session today and what we have coming up. But skipped remarks last month, so I do want to make sure I highlight some other things that have been going on from as simple as it is Bring Your Child to Work Day. So if you saw children in the building, it is okay. We're not putting them to work, but we're bringing them to work to see what is going on. It's up to their parents if they want to get help from them. But so they were here today to see the AOC. Some of that you saw the trucks outside. Those weren't for you. They were for the kids to see. But you know, that is a great event. We enjoy hosting that. Last week, we participated in the National Work Zone Awareness Week and the campaign that's a nationwide campaign. The Secretary and I and others had the honor of being with Lieutenant Governor Miller, overlooking the I-695 site that was the location of an incident last year, unfortunately. But that kickoff was very important to get the campaign out that you know, safety is basically an all-the-time occurrence for drivers and us, even though we might only focus it on 1 week a year in terms of the campaign. We did a Go Orange breakfast for our workers, but it really hits home for us when you have incidents just as recently as March 19th, when we had a maintenance vehicle on I-95 that was struck by a tractor trailer at the ramp for exit 59, and we had 3 maintenance workers that fortunately received only minor injuries. Big sigh of relief there, but even that incident was going to be in their mind. So you have to think about how those workers are doing in their jobs when they have those near misses. We've also obviously had to mourn the loss of 6 lives on the Key Bridge. We still think about those families and their families of the victims that haven't been recovered yet. That has been just the campaign, more locally and more important for those of you that travel on the I-95 North Work Zone that Jim referenced in his updates. That ETL project has been a major project. We've seen some major backups on there. It's been a challenge in terms of the first responders that need to respond in that zone. We've had to take a number of steps to improve that. We've done new pavement markings that that kind of faded during the winter. We've done some things to increase the number of protection vehicles. We've added a speed camera location there. We put more variable message signs up, and the contractors have been instructed to do a little bit more focus on the routine maintenance of those items. But I also wanted to thank Member Von Paris, who was joined by Member Cox and hosted the Secretary, Major Alford, and I at the Kingsville Volunteer Fire Company to hear firsthand how those first responders had to interact with that construction site. It's 200 calls, I think, that they had in a very short period of time, and I think that was now I can't remember the time frame that they had, but it's that 200 stuck in my mind. But it was like they're out there multiple times a day, and in some cases responding. So that was a really good reminder of the importance of work zone safety, and we will continue to improve that work zone as we move along.
Bruce, Chairman. Incredible experience being with the Secretary, yourself, and Member Von Paris, setting it up with the first responders, just going out there and seeing what they do, riding in that fire truck was incredible. Thank you, Member Von Paris, for setting that up.
I just want to say thank you for Mr. Secretary and Executive Director Bruce and Member Cox for being there. It had a profound and positive impact on the those first responders, probably 50, 60 there all told. But thank you so much for the participation. It's going to make us safer, I feel.
Thank you. Moving from safety, a very high priority, to customer service, which is also a high priority. We have been on the customer service side, looking into our on-the-go transponder program. That program was initiated back when we didn't have very good penetration of the Easy Pass program. We're well up into the high 80% now. The cost and benefit of that program is something that we want to look at a little bit more closely. And right now, we've suspended issuing those transponders through Weiss and Giant. So you'll see some messaging on our website to do that, and we are still offering them through the MVA and through our program. But we'll keep you up to date on our Easy Pass penetration rates in light of this, and I hope to come back to you next month with more updates on how we can better utilize that program, or if we need to shift our focus to other areas to increase the Easy Pass penetration. We've already talked about the graduation that we had with the recruit class 58, so I won't go into that any more detail, but we continue to focus on things for our employees like Earth Day, and I also wanted to take a moment to recognize that we weren't able to do last month, but I really wanted to be able to recognize. He didn't give up on me, did he? No. Is Percy still back there? Okay. I don't know if he's surprised by this or not, but so Percy Dangerfield, we didn't really have a chance to pause with session and everything, but Percy served as acting executive director. I really would like to recognize his contribution and service as acting executive director. We prepared a special resolution for him that states the dates of his service, and that I recall calling him Dr. Dangerfield. He really has been a true leader in his approach to how the MDTA reacts and strategize about the future, and maintaining our capital program through the tolling system during his time as acting. And I just think, it's, for me, he was here when I was here last, and to have him still be here has been very important to me. So in the interest of time, I think we'll get to this very quickly, Percy, but thank you. Yeah. Actually, we're going to do pictures later. Let's do that one too later. All right? Let's do that. I don't want to slow us down. So, don't leave. It's a way to keep them around, right? Yeah, we'll just hold off on that for, okay. So moving from that to a little bit more somber note, but we have these ebbs and flows in the lives here at the Authority. On the May 3rd, we do want to pause on May 3rd to honor our fallen heroes, our 8 fallen heroes at the annual ceremony that the MDTA police have. Member Gangemi, I believe, has agreed to represent the board at this event, but if there are any other members that would like to attend, please reach out to us. On May 22nd, we'll be holding a rodeo, so a little bit more of a unification event for our current employees. And on May 23rd, we'll be reaching back out to our community on the 895 Frankfurt Avenue interchange program improvements, and to talk to those property owners in that area so that they understand the upcoming impacts to them. That concludes my remarks. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Great, thank you. All right, we've now reached the closed session portion of our agenda. This closed session is scheduled for the board members and designated staff. For those persons in this room and in live stream, as soon as we have completed the closed session, we will come back to this room and ratify any actions that might have been taken in closed session, and to continue with the remainder of the agenda in open session. We appreciate your patience. Per Maryland Open Meetings Act, the MDTA Board will meet in closed session under General Provisions, Article Section 3-305B15, to discuss MDTA's cybersecurity, including discussions regarding security assessments and deployment of information technology and network security related to detecting and investigating possible criminal activity. Sections 3-305B10 and 12 to receive an update on deployment of police staff and resources and other security measures, to discuss a pending investigation proceeding involving possible criminal conduct. Section 3-305B8 to receive a status update on all litigation currently pending against the MDTA. And sections 3-305B7 and 12 to receive legal advice and discuss investigative proceedings related to employee criminal conduct. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved. Member Cox.
Second. All in favor? Aye. And the time is now 10:36 a.m., and we will now go into closed session. Thank you. Okay.
Why? Interest rate's going to go up.
Okay. We all here? Ready to go? Okay. All right. Good morning. The time now is 11:51 a.m. and the board has completed its closed session. There were no actions taken in closed session that require ratification. At this point, the agenda is complete. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move. Member Cox.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This now concludes the